Hey there, my name is Angela. Welcome to my channel. Today, I'm going to compare the Canon EF-S 10 to 18mm lens to the Canon EF-M 22mm lens. Let's get to it. To start off, I'm going to talk about prices for these lenses. The EF-M 22mm lens costs $249 brand new, while used or renewed, it costs $196.50. On the other hand, the EF-S 10 to 18mm lens costs $299 brand new and $239 used. However, for the EF-S 10 to 18mm lens, you will need a mount adapter in order to use it with the Canon M50, and that is an EF-S to M mount adapter. If you buy one brand new on Canon.com, it's going to cost you an additional $199.99. However, Viltrox has a version of this mount adapter for $37.95. I would like to note though, the Viltrox Speed Booster does not accommodate an EF-S mount. Next up, we're going to talk about the design of these two lenses, starting with the EF-M 22mm lens. This lens has the M series look and takes compact to a whole new level. It is a compact pancake lens and small enough to fit in your pocket if you really need it to. According to the manufacturer, this lens weighs in at 3.7 ounces or 105 grams, but its actual weight is 3.5 ounces or 100 grams. So it is very compact and small, but with that being said, it's also a fixed lens, so it only stays at the focal length of 22mm. The 10 to 18mm lens, on the other hand, is a bit bulky in comparison. Its manufacturer weight is 8.5 ounces or 240 grams, and its real weight is 8.1 ounces or 230 grams. Combined with the mount adapter that is needed in order to use this lens with a Canon M50, it is sitting at a whopping 11.8 ounces or 335 grams. That is nearly a pound. So it is very bulky, but you do have the advantage that you can zoom in and out, unlike with the 22mm lens. Speaking of focal length, here is some sample footage of the EF-M 22mm lens with me standing 10 feet in front of the camera. To compare, here is the EF-S set at 10mm with me standing in the same exact spot. Something kind of interesting to keep in mind while using a Canon M50 is the Canon M50 is not a full frame camera, so instead it has an APS-C sensor, which makes it a cropped sensor camera, and this impacts the perceived focal length of your lenses. So the 10 to 18mm lens is more like a 16 to 29mm lens, whereas the 22 is more like a 35mm lens. Either way, the 10 to 18 set at 10mm is a much wider shot than the 22mm lens. However, when you set it to 18mm, their crop is almost the same. The 22mm is still more cropped in. And just to give you an idea of the range of the 10 to 18mm lens, here is it set at 14mm compared to the 22mm lens. And that is all for focal length for these two lenses. If you have any questions about focal length in the comments down below, let me know and I'll try to reply to them as speedily as possible. Before we move on to aperture, however, I would like to remind you to hit that subscribe button if you are new here and you want to see more videos with photography tips, gear reviews, or outdoor adventures. Now, let's move on to aperture. When it comes to aperture, the EF-S 10 to 18mm lens has an f-stop that can drop down to 4.5 when the lens is set at 10mm. However, when it's set at 18mm, its f-stop can only go down to 5.6. Either way, it makes for a pretty dark image. In these videos, I had the ISO set to 400, and in the next video, I'm going to show you the EF-M set at 2.0 for the f-stop with the ISO also at 400. You can see that I can actually drop the ISO down all the way to 125 before it starts to look as dark as the 10 to 18 did at an ISO of 400. This also means that you can get a very nice blurred background effect with the EF-M 22mm lens that you can't quite get with the 10 to 18mm lens. Before I wrap up this video, I would like to show you some more sample footage and sample photos that I have gotten with these lenses. To start, here is an artsy video I tried to take with the 10 to 18mm lens. And next up is the 22mm lens. Let me know in the comments down below which video looked better in your opinion. And now here are some sample shots that I've gotten with the 10 to 18mm lens. And here are some sample shots that I got with the EF-M 22mm lens. Now it's time for my final thoughts on these two lenses. In my personal opinion, I would choose the EF-M 22mm lens with my Canon M50 over the EF-S 10 to 18mm lens any day. And the reason is that it is very compact. It's very versatile in that its f-stop can drop really low and I'm able to manipulate the background of my videos or photos. And it is just super sharp in comparison to the 10 to 18mm lens. And that is all for this video. I hope that it helped you in some way. If you think it did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate it. And again, if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and become part of the tribe. Until next time, bye.